My name is Linda. I'm 55 years old, and this is the story of how my golden child became my abuser and how I found the strength to do what no mother ever wants to do. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on notifications. This story is for every parent who's made excuses, who's enabled, who's loved so hard they forgot to protect themselves. And to my loyal listeners, thank you for being here through these difficult journeys. Now, let me take you back to 8 months ago, to the night my son put his hands on me for the last time. Brandon was my miracle baby. I'd had 3 miscarriages before him, 3 losses that nearly destroyed my marriage and my faith. When Brandon finally arrived, healthy and screaming, I thought God had answered my prayers. He was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a head full of dark hair, and eyes that seemed to look right into my soul. My husband, Robert, and I doted on him. Maybe too much. Looking back now, I can see we spoiled him. But at the time, it felt like gratitude. Thankfulness for this precious gift we'd almost lost. Brandon was smart. So smart. Reading by age 4. Doing complex math by 7. Teachers called him gifted, exceptional, destined for greatness. We believed them. We enrolled him in private schools, paid for tutors, made sure he had every advantage. Robert worked extra shifts at the plant. I took on weekend shifts at the hospital where I worked as a nurse. Everything for Brandon. Always. When he was 12, Robert died. Sudden heart attack. 1 minute he was mowing the lawn, the next he was gone. Brandon and I clung to each other in our grief. He was all I had left. My whole world. I became both parents. Worked double shifts to keep him in his private school. Helped with homework. Drove him to chess club, debate team, soccer practice. I was his mother, his father, his biggest cheerleader. He got into Stanford with a full academic scholarship. I cried tears of joy the day the acceptance letter came. You did it, baby, I told him. Your father would be so proud. We did it, Mom, he said, hugging me. I couldn't have done any of this without you. I believed him. God help me, I believed every word. The first 2 years at Stanford went well. Brandon excelled. Dean's List every semester. Research opportunities with prestigious professors. He called me every Sunday like clockwork. Then, junior year, things started to change. The phone calls became less frequent. When we did talk, he sounded distracted, irritable. Is everything okay? I'd ask. I'm fine, Mom. Just busy. You wouldn't understand. It's very intellectually demanding. The tone bothered me. Dismissive. Like I was too simple to comprehend his brilliant life. But I told myself it was just stress. College was hard. He was pushing himself. Then he came home for Christmas break. He'd changed. Physically, yes. He'd put on weight, stopped caring about his appearance. But it was more than that. There was an anger in him I'd never seen before. Mom, this house is a dump, he said within an hour of arriving. How do you live like this? I looked around our modest 3-bedroom ranch. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean. Comfortable. Home. Brandon, that's not a kind thing to say. I'm just being honest. My friends at Stanford, their parents have nice homes. Real homes. This is embarrassing. The word stung, but I made excuses. He was used to the beautiful Stanford campus now. Our little house probably seemed small in comparison. Over that break, his contempt grew. I was cooking wrong, dressing wrong, talking wrong. My nursing job was just a job, while his future was a career. "You've never really accomplished anything, have you, Mom?" he said one night over dinner. "I raised you," I said quietly. "I worked 2 jobs to send you to that school. I think that's an accomplishment. You did the bare minimum a parent is supposed to do. That's not special." I excused myself and cried in my bedroom. When he went back to school, I told myself it was a phase. He'd grow out of it. He didn't. Senior year, Brandon stopped calling altogether. I'd reach out to him, leave messages. Sometimes he'd text back, busy. Then graduation came. I was so excited to see him walk across that stage. I'd saved for months to afford the trip to California. Brandon barely acknowledged me at graduation. Introduced me to his friends as my mom with no warmth, no pride. When I tried to take photos with him, he pulled away. "Mom, not now. My friends want to go celebrate." "Oh, I thought maybe we could have dinner." "I have plans." He left me standing there, alone, surrounded by happy families celebrating together. I flew home the next day, heartbroken. 3 months later, Brandon moved back home. Not because he wanted to, because he had to. Brandon had graduated summa cum laude with a degree in computer science. His professors had written glowing recommendations. The world was supposed to be his oyster, but he couldn't find a job. Interview after interview, rejection after rejection. Companies wanted experience, internships, practical skills. Brandon had theory, brilliance, ego. After 6 months of rejections, he moved back into his childhood bedroom. "It's temporary, Mom," he said. "Just until I find something worthy of my education." I was just happy to have him home. Happy to cook for him again, do his laundry, take care of my boy. That was my first mistake. Brandon didn't look for work. Not really. He'd applied to a few positions online, then spend the rest of the day in his room playing video games. When I'd suggest maybe broadening his search, applying for entry-level positions, he'd explode. "I'm not working some menial job, Mom. I went to Stanford. I'm not flipping burgers or working tech support." "I know, honey, but sometimes you have to start somewhere. You wouldn't understand. You're a nurse. You never had real ambition." Months turned into a year, then 2 years. Brandon stopped trying altogether, stopped showering regularly, stopped leaving his room except to eat. I'd come home from 12-hour shifts at the hospital to find him in the same position I'd left him, hunched over his computer, surrounded by empty energy drink cans and junk food wrappers. "Brandon, honey, did you apply to any jobs today?" "I'm working on my portfolio, Mom." "Stop nagging me." I started finding things missing. Cash from my purse, my credit card charge for gaming subscriptions and online purchases I hadn't made. When I confronted him, he denied it. "You're imagining things. Maybe you spent it and forgot." But I knew. Deep down, I knew. The verbal abuse escalated. "You're suffocating me, Mom. You're the reason I'm depressed. If Dad were still alive, he'd understand me. You never have." Each word was a knife, but I kept making excuses. He was struggling. He was depressed. He needed help, not criticism. I tried to get him to see a therapist. He refused. "I don't need therapy. I need you to stop trying to control my life." 3 years after moving back home, Brandon was 25 years old and had never held a job. I was supporting both of us on my nursing salary while my retirement account dwindled to nothing. My friends started commenting, "Linda, you need to give him an ultimatum. Get a job or get out. He's going through something, I defend. He just needs more time. How much time? He's an adult. You're enabling him. But he was my son, my miracle baby. I couldn't just throw him out. Then, 6 months ago, the verbal abuse became physical. I'd asked him for the 100th time to clean up his room. The smell had gotten so bad I could barely walk past his door. Brandon, please. I'm not asking for much. Just clean up the trash. He threw his controller at the wall. It shattered. Get out of my room. This is my house. He stood up when had he gotten so tall and shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward, catching myself on the doorframe. Don't you ever come in here again without knocking, he hissed. I was shaking. Brandon, you can't put your hands on me. Then don't push me. I left, closed myself in my room, told myself it was a one-time thing. He'd been startled. I'd crossed a boundary. I made excuses. It happened again 2 weeks later. I'd hidden my credit card after finding another unauthorized charge. When he couldn't find it, he came to my room. Where is it? Brandon, you can't keep using my card without asking. He grabbed my arm, squeezed hard enough to leave bruises. Give me the card. No. He shoved me onto my bed. You owe me. After everything you've put me through, living in this dump, being embarrassed by you. I put you through college. I've given you everything. You gave me the bare minimum. A real mother would have made sure I didn't have to come back to this shithole. He left, slamming the door so hard my pictures fell off the wall. I looked at the bruises forming on my arm, and I cried. But I didn't call the police. He was my son, my baby. He didn't mean it. The third time he broke my jaw. It was a Tuesday evening. I'd just gotten home from a particularly brutal shift. We'd lost a patient, a sweet elderly woman I'd been caring for. I was emotionally drained, physically exhausted. All I wanted was to take a bath and go to sleep. But the house was a disaster. Brandon had apparently had friends over. Empty bottles everywhere. Pizza boxes. The kitchen was destroyed. I'd asked him one thing. One thing. Don't make a mess while I was working. I went to his room and knocked. What? He yelled. Brandon, the house is a mess. Your friends. They just left. I'll clean it tomorrow. No, you'll clean it tonight. I'm exhausted and I can't deal with this. The door flew open. Brandon stood there, bloodshot eyes, reeking of alcohol. I said I'll do it tomorrow. And I said you'll do it tonight. I work 60 hours a week to keep a roof over your head. Oh, here we go again. The martyr routine. Poor Linda, working so hard, sacrificing so much. I have sacrificed. I've given up everything for you. I didn't ask you to, he screamed. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask for any of this. Then maybe you should find somewhere else to live. The words were out before I could stop them. 5 years of frustration, resentment, exhaustion, all poured into that one sentence. Brandon's face changed. Something dark and ugly twisted his features. You want me to leave? After you've made me so pathetic I can't function without you? After you've sabotaged every chance I had? I never sabotaged. You did. You made me dependent. You made me weak. And now you want to throw me out like garbage. Brandon, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. He grabbed my shoulders and shook me. Hard. You ruined my life. You and your neediness and your I sacrificed everything bullshit. I tried to pull away. Let go of me. You deserve this, he screamed. You deserve to know how it feels. Then he hit me, a closed fist, right across my jaw. I heard the crack before I felt the pain. Tasted blood. My legs gave out. I collapsed on the floor, my face exploding in agony. Brandon stood over me, breathing hard, fists still clenched. You deserve that, he said coldly. Maybe now you'll think twice before threatening me. Then he stepped over me and went back to his room. Closed the door. I lay on the hallway floor, blood pooling in my mouth, unable to move from the pain. My phone was in my pocket. I managed to pull it out with shaking hands. I should have called 911. Should have called the police. But I called my neighbor, Carol, instead. Linda? What's wrong? Carol, I sobbed. I need help. Please. She was there in 3 minutes. Took one look at me and went pale. Oh my God. Did Brandon do this? I couldn't answer. Just cried. She drove me to the emergency room. The doctors confirmed my jaw was fractured. Not broken completely, but fractured. I needed wired shut for 6 weeks. How did this happen? The ER doctor asked. I fell, I lied. Mrs. Chun, you have defensive bruising on your arms. These are fingerprints. Someone grabbed you. I fell, I repeated. The doctor looked at Carol. Carol looked back at me. Linda, you need to tell the truth. But I couldn't. He was my son. They treated my jaw, wired it shut, gave me pain medication, and sent me home with a referral for an oral surgeon. Carol drove me home. Brandon's car was gone. Linda, Carol said gently, you can't go back in there. Where else am I supposed to go? It's my house. Come stay with me. Just for a few days while... No. Thank you, Carol. I'll be fine. You won't be fine. Your son fractured your jaw. It was an accident. He was drunk. He didn't mean. Don't do this. Don't make excuses for him. But I did. I made every excuse possible. Brandon came home around 2 a.m. I heard him stumble in, slam his door. The next morning, he didn't apologize. Didn't ask about my bandaged, swollen face. He just said, maybe you'll learn to mind your own business. And something inside me finally broke. For 2 days, I couldn't eat solid food. Could barely speak. Every movement of my jaw sent lightning bolts of pain through my skull. I called in sick to work. Told them I'd had a dental emergency. I sat in my house, locked in my bedroom, listening to Brandon play video games in the next room like nothing had happened. On the 3rd day, Carol came over. I'm not leaving until you talk to me, she said. So I talked. Through my wired jaw, slurring words, I told her everything. The years of verbal abuse, the financial exploitation, the shoving, the escalation, the punch, all of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was crying. Linda, you know what you have to do. I can't. You can. You must. He's my son. He's your abuser. And if you don't stop him now, he'll do it again. Worse next time. I thought about that. About the look in Brandon's eyes when he'd hit me. Not remorse. Not horror at what he'd done. Satisfaction. He'd wanted to hurt me. Felt justified in hurting me. I don't know if I can, I whispered. Then let me help you. Carol was a retired social worker. She'd spent 30 years working with domestic violence victims. The fact that he's your son doesn't make it less serious, she said. It makes it more heartbreaking, but not less serious. He assaulted you. He could have killed you. But if I report him, he'll have a record. It'll ruin his chances. Linda, listen to yourself. He's 25 years old with no job, no prospects, living off you, and he attacked you. His chances are already ruined. You didn't do that. He did. Over the next few days, Carol helped me see clearly for the first time in years. I'd enabled Brandon, made excuses, protected him from consequences, and in doing so, I'd created a monster. A 25-year-old man who thought it was acceptable to hit his mother when she didn't do what he wanted. Carol helped me find a therapist who specialized in family violence. In our first session, I cried for an hour straight. I don't understand how this happened, I told Dr. Patterson. I gave him everything. How did he become this person? Giving someone everything isn't the same as teaching them how to be a good person, she said gently. Love without boundaries becomes enabling. Support without expectations becomes entitlement. So this is my fault. No, Brandon made his choices, but you've been protecting him from the consequences of those choices. And now those consequences need to happen. She was right. I met with a lawyer who specialized in domestic violence cases. Mrs. Chen, I understand this is your son, but legally what he did is aggravated assault. With your medical records and injury photos, you have a strong case. What would happen to him? That depends on the prosecutor and judge. Possibly probation, anger management, community service, possibly jail time. But he needs to face legal consequences. I thought about the alternative. Brandon staying in my house, getting more violent, possibly killing me next time. Because there would be a next time. I knew that now. What do I need to do? I asked. The lawyer explained the process. File a police report. Get a restraining order. Potentially testify against my own son. It felt impossible. But I thought about my jaw. About the fingerprint bruises on my arms. About the look in Brandon's eyes when he hit me. And I made the call. The police came to my house to take my statement. I told them everything. Showed them my medical records. The photos the ER had taken of my injuries. The bruises. The fractured jaw. Mrs. Chen, where is your son now? I think he's at work. A lie. Brandon had no job. But I'd been tracking his social media. He'd posted earlier about being at a coffee shop downtown with friends. We'll need to bring him in for questioning. You understand that if we proceed with charges, he'll be arrested? My hand shook. I understand. And you want to press charges? I thought about all the years, all the sacrifices, all the love I'd poured into this child who'd grown up to hurt me. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. 3 hours later, police picked up Brandon at the coffee shop. According to the report, he'd gone quietly at first. Then, when he realized it was about me, he'd started ranting. My crazy mom called you. She's lying. She fell. I didn't do anything. But the evidence was clear. The medical records didn't lie. Brandon was arrested and charged with aggravated assault on a family member. They let him out on bail the next day. His friend's parents posted it, $10,000. He called me immediately, screaming, "How could you do this to me? I'm your son. You fractured my jaw, Brandon. It was an accident. You provoked me. There's no excuse for what you did. You're going to ruin my life over one mistake." It wasn't one mistake. It was years of escalation. Years of me making excuses for you. I'm done making excuses. Mom, please. Drop the charges. Please. I'll get help. I'll go to therapy. You'll go to therapy as part of your sentence. This is happening, Brandon. He called me every name you can imagine. Then he hung up. The restraining order was approved the next day. Brandon was legally prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me or my home, which meant he couldn't live with me anymore. His friend's family let him stay for a week. Then they kicked him out. Apparently, Brandon was as difficult with them as he'd been with me. He bounced between friends' couches, posted on Facebook about his abusive mother who abandoned him. Some people believed him. Sent me messages calling me heartless, cruel, unnatural. But others who'd known Brandon, who'd seen his behavior over the years, sent messages of support. It's about time. You're doing the right thing. Stay strong. The court date arrived 3 months after the arrest. I sat in that courtroom looking at my son in an ill-fitting suit, and my heart broke all over again. The prosecutor presented the evidence, my medical records, photos of my injuries, testimony from the ER doctor, character witnesses who'd seen Brandon's escalating behavior. Brandon's public defender tried to paint me as overreacting, as a controlling mother who couldn't let her son grow up. But then I testified. I told the truth. All of it. The years of enabling, the verbal abuse, the financial exploitation, the physical violence. Mrs. Chin, the prosecutor, asked, "Why did you wait so long to report the abuse?" "Because he's my son," I said, crying. "Because I kept thinking he'd change, that the boy I raised was still in there somewhere. I kept making excuses because I loved him." "And why are you testifying against him now?" "Because I love him enough to hold him accountable. Because if I don't, he'll do this to someone else. Maybe someone who won't survive it." I looked at Brandon. He was staring at the table, jaw clenched. "I failed my son by not teaching him that actions have consequences," I continued. "I won't fail him again by protecting him from those consequences now." The judge found Brandon guilty, sentenced him to 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, mandatory anger management and therapy, and restitution for my medical bills. No jail time, but a permanent record. Brandon looked at me with pure hatred as they let him out. "I'll never forgive you for this," he said. "I know," I replied. "But someday maybe you'll thank me." That was 8 months ago. Brandon completed his community service. He's in court-ordered therapy. He got a job, finally, working at a tech support center. He lives in a small apartment across town. We don't speak. He sent me a few emails, angry at first, blaming me for everything. But the last one 2 weeks ago was different. "Mom, my therapist says I need to take responsibility for my actions, that I need to acknowledge what I did to you. I hit you. I hurt you. I made you afraid in your own home. I don't know how to explain how I got there, how I became that person. My therapist says it was entitlement, that you gave me everything, and I learned to expect it. That when you couldn't give me what I wanted, a perfect life without struggle, I blamed you instead of myself. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just saying, I'm sorry for all of it. I don't know if I'll ever be the son you deserved, but I'm trying to be better than the person who hurt you. Brandon, I read that email 5 times. I haven't responded yet. I don't know what to say. Dr. Patterson says it's okay to take my time. That healing isn't linear. That loving my son and protecting myself from him can coexist. As for me, I'm learning to live again. I'm in therapy twice a week, working through the guilt, the grief, the complicated love I still feel for the son who hurt me. I'm dating someone, a kind man named Tom who I met through Carol. He knows everything and he's patient with my healing. I'm saving for retirement again. My house is peaceful, quiet. Sometimes I miss Brandon, the real Brandon, the little boy who used to hug me and tell me I was the best mom in the world. But I don't miss the man he became, the entitled, angry, violent man who felt justified hitting his mother. I did the right thing, the hardest thing, the most loving thing. I held my son accountable. And maybe, just maybe, that will save him from becoming someone even worse. Thank you for listening to my story, dear friends. If you're a parent being abused by your adult child, please know you're not alone. It's more common than people admit. And it's not your fault. Love doesn't mean accepting abuse. Being a parent doesn't mean being a punching bag. You can love someone and still hold them accountable. You can want the best for someone and still protect yourself from them. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. But I would do it again. Because real love sometimes means tough consequences. Real love means saying no more. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Voices of Zara, and share your thoughts below. You might help another parent find the courage to do what I did. Until next time, remember, you deserve safety. You deserve respect, even from your own children. Stay strong, set boundaries, and know that loving someone doesn't mean accepting their abuse.